yo, living. Diddle idle, idle.
Kaiba is an oddity, to say the least. It's a surreal journey, often veering towards pure dreamlike abstractism that tries, and ultimately fails, to tell a coherent narrative in spite of itself. When it comes to quality and variety in their lineup, very few Japanese animation studios can compare to Madhouse, the company that brought Satoshi Kon's world to the limelight, as well as the most visually rich and well-animated shows in general. And when it comes to a creative style, very few animators can compare to Masaki Yuasa. His vision is wild, unbridled, fluid and extroverted, to an almost transcendental degree. There are character animations done with a fixed model to work with, and then there is the complete antithesis that reviles such ruffian concepts and goes ballistic in the name of animated anarchy. Yuasa's style definitely steers towards that rebellious nature, as much as the budget will consent, ironically, making him one of the most recognizable and unique artists of his kind in the otherwise bloated anime scene. Couple his visionary ideas with Madhouse's monetary support, and the end result will be nothing short of eye-meltingly gorgeous. In that regard, Kaiba is one of the greatest artistic achievements of the past decade, an all-around masterpiece in terms of aesthetic presentation. Both the symbolically charged landscapes and the characters inhabiting this universe are vibrant and colorful, fully capable to convey essential information and feelings through their motions and interactions. The obviously deeply researched character design by Nobutake Ito is inspired by post-war Showa period animations from the likes of Osamu Tezuka and his pioneering generation, featuring those kinds of Western cartoon-inspired grotesque figures and disproportioned body types that dominated the first few years of Japanimation before a more realistic style took over in the 70s. To me personally, this grants the show with an immense nostalgic charm, as many of the anime I grew up with had characters drawn in such a way. I can never emphasize enough how great this show looks, and how powerfully its themes are conveyed through the animation.
Heki?
Speaking of theming, the premise is actually surprisingly conventional given the presentation. This is a universe where memories can either be copied or extracted from bodies to be transferred into others, thus allowing those who can actually afford such inevitably expensive treatments to live on forever. Like I said, this isn't the first time science fiction tackles this idea as a means to comment on social stratification, self-identity, mental memories versus physical memories, the ever-present question of what it means to be human, and it most certainly wouldn't be the last. It feels like every major sci-fi/cyberpunk story made in Japan has to bring up these very specific topics ever since Ghost in the Shell became an omnipresent benchmark for rhetorical storytelling. However, the execution of such themes through the fantastical visuals of the show that intrinsically refuse any notion of sterile conventions makes them fresh and interesting. The first few episodes revolve around an amnesiac protagonist, the only time this cliché is actually appropriate, journeying through the galaxy, from planet to planet, serving as the audience proxy as he is exposed to various facets of human behavior in a way that might be inspired from The Little Prince. Which also reminds me of my favorite anime of all time, Kino's Journey, a criminally underrated gem by the way. What's interesting about this scenario is that the boy in question ends up having his mind transferred into various other bodies, most prominently the body of a girl by the name of Chronico, whose memories were literally left to float away in space. This does eventually lead to an episode that explores the concept of gender identity and why it is ultimately determined by one's own perception rather than by one's own anatomy. I won't say more about that other than it somehow features a tactful portrayal of menstruation as well as a girl trapped in the body of a muscular Native American stereotype with Bomberman hands. Speaking of bizarre imagery, in the second episode, a woman copies her memories inside the main character's body to have transcendental sex with it, which caused her to literally explode in the ecstasy of the climax. The fact that I had to type all of that makes me glad to be alive. Kaiba is a bizarre but endlessly fascinating little gem of high-quality animation, with genuinely dark and sad moments empowered by its thematic exploration, visual prowess, great soundtrack, and one beautiful opening. Unfortunately, all of that goes out the window once the real plot kicks in around episode 8, with plenty of clunky expositions, nonsensical revelations, betrayals and twists that don't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things, essentially turning into every bad sci-fi romance drama ever made. Because yes, this is a sci-fi romance drama, in case I didn't mention it. It doesn't help that the dramatic revelations concerning the two romantic leads were played out before the episode that actually established their relationship in the first place, making the supposed tragedy of the moment completely ineffectual from an audience's standpoint. It's a shame to see all that potential, all that hard work being squandered for a disappointing, rushed-out resolution that only serves to remind me of how great the first few episodes were in comparison. In any case, I would still recommend watching this anime for its merits, namely for being one of the most unique looking shows you will most likely lay your eyes on in the course of your entire lifespan, and I dare you to prove me wrong. I mean, come on, it's like Paprika meets Astro Boy. What's not to like about that? This has been Madhog Thy Master, and I'll see you out there somewhere.